They just announced 5 new Assassin's Creed games, a new Assassin's Creed TV show, a bunch of DLC. It is a very crazy time to be an Assassin's Creed fan, and honestly, I kind of want to just go over it because this is just kind of overwhelming. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. So please like the video. Ubisoft just did this special presentation that they called Ubisoft Forward, talking about the future of the publisher. And in it, they showed off, honestly, a bunch of crap. A bunch of stuff I don't care about, like Just Dance with the worst user interface I've ever seen in my life. A bunch of DLC for stuff like For Honor, a new mobile game version of stuff like Rainbow Six. I know I've said this before, but a lot of times these mobile games spin-offs, it just feels like they show a trailer that's like gun cocking and then like it's the worst game in the best series, that kind of thing. Well, this is the Assassin's Creed timeline. Here's what they just announced just literally about 10 minutes ago. I'm still absolutely in shock. This is the new major project that seems like they're unveiling for the distant future, which they're calling Project Infinity. Now, there's been some leaks about this, and it sounds like essentially the goal of Assassin's Creed is going forward to have more of a combined universe once again. You know, with a bunch of the older games, the original trilogy and stuff, we had that connective tissue of Desmond and the Animus and stuff. It seems like they're trying to go back, and it sounds like this is going to be possibly some sort of hub where you're actually going to get Infinity and then log into the game. Now, we're going to talk about each of these individually, but first let's talk about Mirage and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So the Assassin's Creed Valhalla experiment, this long-running franchise, has finally ended. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has sold like 20 million copies. It's by far the most successful Assassin's Creed I think ever. I think it's the biggest freaking Ubisoft game ever. It's kind of bonkers. But let's talk about Mirage. So along with kind of just discussing it, they released this little teaser trailer, which as soon as people started to see it, look at this. It's classic Ezio vibes. It's got that Altair vibe. It's old school Assassin's Creed. This looks so freaking great. Look, they have the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. They're back to having the gauntlets. This looks so freaking great. So initially, when you first see this, you're probably thinking, is this a remake? Because this certainly looks to be very much in the same vein of the original Assassin's Creed. At least to me it does, and that's great. But we actually have some concrete details on it. So this is Assassin's Creed Mirage. We are playing as a young man named Basim. The events take place before Valhalla. It takes place in Baghdad. It is a narrative-driven, back-to-roots, focus on stealth and assassinations. Yes, please. Historical characters will be part of the games as well. Man, look at these. I mean, it's pretty explicit, especially with a lot of these screenshots and stuff. This is trying to basically be a remake of Assassin's Creed 1 with new characters and stuff, at least in the same setting, rebuilding a lot of the city and stuff we've seen already. This is extremely epic, but it just keeps going. So here's the cool thing. Like, I can't believe that even flashed the people who have to like cut off their finger. This was like one of the major story points of the original Assassin's Creed games that I thought was cool. They used to cut off their ring finger in 2 separate ways, symbolically to say like, okay, I'm now married to the Brotherhood. And additionally, it was sort of just saying like, all right, like I am now able to wear this special assassin's gauntlet. That's where the knife used to come out, the hidden blade. Next up, you can see this is the Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. They're finally ending it off. Ivor is getting her sunset. That's pretty cool for Valhalla fans. Now, this is the part that I'm very, very negative about. So they're doing an Assassin's Creed mobile game in China. Now, part of the reason I'm annoyed by this is because it is going to be very open world. They've said that explicitly. They're trying to make a big old cool expansive game. My problem with this is that I want an actual Assassin's Creed to be based in China. China has so much history, it has so much dynasty, it has so much crazy cool lore and wars and chaos and mythology. They could have done some epicness with this. The fact that they've done, first they did a little spin-off side-scroller set in China a long time ago, and now they're doing an Assassin's Creed on cell phones. Like, I'm not saying that this is necessarily bad outright, but I mean, I don't really play cell phone games. So I guess my part is like thinking about this. This is definitely not going to be up to par of a standard Assassin's Creed. Like, no matter what, at the very least, it's made to run on phones, so this can't possibly be as powerful or juicy as an actual Assassin's Creed. This is a big disappointment. But now we get to the weird stuff. So here are the weird projects. So Assassin's Creed codenamed Jade, which is also going to be a mobile game. Then we have codenamed Red, which is where we're going to be playing as actually in Japan, which has been the most requested Assassin's Creed, and it's going to be us playing as ninja, the shinobi, theoretically going against the samurai or the shogunate. Not that I'm the biggest buff of Japanese history, but I probably know more than a lot of normies. It's interesting that we're going to insert ourselves there. This seems great. This is the one that's going to be probably pretty far off, and this is the beginning of this Infinity project right here, codename Red. And now the other one here, codename Hexe. Hexe is apparently how this is pronounced. So you can see here, this is the next big flagship title, taking place in feudal Japan. Very awesome. Worked on by the developer of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so we know that game's going to be big. Now here is Hexe. As it stands, they just released a single picture of the Assassin's Creed symbol, but there has been leaks and stuff talking about codename Hexe, and it seems like it's going to be an Assassin's Creed more based about witches and covens and stuff like that. I think one of the big leaks said it's going to be taking place in Salem during the Salem witch trials, which is incredibly freaking epic. I'll be honest, a lot of these games do seem pretty impressive. I'm actually excited for the future of Assassin's Creed. Some of the leaks that are already coming out specifically about, what is it called here, Mirage? A lot of the leaks that have been coming out about Mirage are that the game is trying to be beatable in like 15 hours. They realize that a lot of people are getting annoyed by these like 500-hour Ubisoft games with 10 trillion little teeny tiny things on the map. It feels like they've finally decided to listen properly to the fan base and say, okay, even though Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold 60 million copies or whatever, listen to the people, that there is still a demand for a game that can be finished in 25 hours and then have $50, 50 hours of additional content on top. This seems great. I'm probably not going to watch an Assassin's Creed TV show. I mean, I might do it. I definitely read all the Assassin's Creed books and read the Assassin's Creed comics and played all the Assassin's Creed games. This seems like an interesting chapter. They've been talking a lot during the Ubisoft Forward about the legacy of Assassin's Creed, all the classic games. The good ones, the bad ones, the mid ones, and it seems like they've realized that, okay, if we want to keep building upon this franchise from a financial standpoint, if you want sales to increase, you need to go back to a combined universe with a grounded story, with a focused antagonist, with actually charismatic characters. I think this might be a big step in the right direction. But what do you think? Are you excited for the idea of 1 million Assassin's Creed games? Are you upset by the Assassin's Creed mobile game? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. It is bonkers. What the Ubisoft Forward, a lot of these people, you shouldn't be doing these press conferences. A lot of these press conferences, they do boring. This one, at least it ended strong. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.